All right. Hello, everyone. My voice is a little raspy. Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you catch this live. I want to give a second for you all to join us on our live tonight. I have a special guest with us, and I am excited about it. Let's see, edit privacy. Just want to make sure I'm also sharing it out in the spaces and places. We have a special guest tonight. I should have Target. I should have had you off and then brought you back in. I
That's
was so
fine.
excited. We just here. We just here.
That's
So
it.
everyone, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in to tonight's session, Pen to Profit, Books, Business, and Breakthroughs. And I have the pleasure of chatting it up with Elizabeth Merriwether. Elizabeth is the CEO and founder of the Well Station and also one of our recent book collaborators. And so she is a published author. And so tonight's conversation is about writing, of course, books, business, and just digging into Elizabeth's chapter and just what inspired her to write and share her story. And once you hear like everything that has been on her plate, for those of you who have been thinking about, oh, I don't have enough time to write, or how will this work for me? I want you to just lean into that, like lean in, understand her story, her journey, and we'll take questions. So if you have questions too, I want to take my glasses off because I see a glare. If you have any questions, be sure to put your questions in the chat. And if you are joining us live, hello. And if you are catching the replay, hashtag replay. So without further ado, Elizabeth, please introduce yourself to our watchers and listeners, please.
All right. Well, look, I'm straight out of Memphis, Tennessee. If you can hear that Southern twang. I was talking to someone the other day, I think from Connecticut or somewhere, and she said, "Yeah, I hear it." But yeah, I'm out of Memphis, Tennessee. Actually born and raised here. I am a wife, a mother, a corporate manager, also a business owner, and very active in my community. Also, a certified self care and affirming coach, where I work with women to understand the importance of self care. I have this motto that I say and I share all the time. You know, we can love on others, but we have to be intentional when it comes to loving on ourselves. And so that's who I am. I love people. I love connecting with amazing women like yourself, Dr. Tamara, and supporting women and just, encouraging and letting us know that it's okay for us to walk firmly, excitedly in our purpose.
Yes. So I want to, before we jump into why we're here tonight
Yeah.
and chapter your contribution, I just want to touch on all of the titles that you just ran off so easily, effortlessly. And so wife, mom,
Mm-hmm.
CEO and founder of the business,
Mm-hmm.
community, in your
Mm-hmm.
community leader.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
I'm a project manager over a department for a major hospitality company.
Yeah. So project
Mm-hmm.
manager
Mm-hmm.
and wellness
Um,
coach. So self-care affirming
mhm.
coach. That's on the
Right.
screen right there.
Right.
And the list goes on.
Yeah.
Right. So
That's right.
so this question right here, or response question, well, let's just say this right here will be for those who are wondering how they can write their story, get it published, lean into the book and business side of things while having a busy schedule or
Yeah.
demanding schedule.
Yeah.
So tell me about prior to you joining the book collaboration, Trailblazers, where were you, where were you at in your thinking of how can I make this happen, or is this possible, or maybe there was some resistance with it because of your schedule. So if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I really should have been a part of the book that was, I think, maybe one or two books prior to this particular project.
Hmm.
But I was, of course, very hesitant. And my schedule was busy and overflowing. You know how sometimes people say they're busy?
Hmm.
I mean, for real, I was busy. I believe one time when we had, it was, I guess you would call it the intake process.
Hmm.
You and I had to get on a call. I was at the airport in North Carolina.
I
And
remember.
I was like, okay, we can take this call, but my flight is going to leave in about 10 or 15 minutes. And I believe we had to cut it short because it was time to load.
Hmm.
But of course, I wanted to hear about the project. I just knew that once I got on the plane, I looked at everything. I wrote it all out, all of my responsibilities, because even at that time, I was a caregiver for my grandmother, and she had Alzheimer's at the time, or dementia. And I was like, I just know I can't, but I really want to so very bad.
Hmm.
And I remember telling you at one point, I said, Tamara, I'm going to be part of one of your projects. But you know how people tell you something, but they really don't mean it. I really meant it, but I just could not make it happen. And I'm one, if I say that this is what I'm going to do, I know that I have to finish it to the end. But I
Hmm.
did not want to be exhausted at the end of it. I wanted to be able to celebrate and, be proud of myself, and, just that I had accomplished something. So
Hmm.
I had to hesitantly tell you, Tamara, I apologize. I can't do it.
Hmm.
I think you followed up with me, the next project. I still wasn't ready. But this time, it's just showing that sometimes we say no, but really we know that the yes is there. You sent me a message to follow up, just saying you had this particular project. And I intended, because I'm never going to ignore anyone. You're going to get a response from me either way.
Hmm.
And so I started the message off. I said, well, let me go ahead and let her know that it's still not the right time. But by the time I was at the 10th word, I had agreed, yes, I can do it.
Hmm.
And I was thinking to myself, girl, what is going on? You know that your plate is full, but I'd already processed that I am going to plan it out, and I am going to be able to do it. It was just something pressing on me saying, your story has to be told. And so
Hmm.
you're just going to have to make time for it. Even though I really didn't have time, as I stated, I was taking care of my grandmother, the business, I was trying to keep it afloat, working in corporate America. My husband and I, we love to travel and do things together. Now, our daughters are grown, so that did, relieve me of some of the stress that others may have.
Parent.
And I had taken some of the community ties that I had. I had taken a pause on those, and I just said, well, look, you're just going to have to do it. So sometimes, Tamara, sometimes I would even be sitting, saying, okay, I really need about 15 or 20 more minutes of sleep. But I just could not, I had to sit there and write. So
Hmm.
sometimes I was writing even when I knew I was sleeping, but I knew I needed to get the words on the paper.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I think you touched on it a little bit. Like, so we talked about it a few projects back, and you were thinking that I don't have the time that, to commit to this.
Hmm.
However, your schedule is still busy. You
Right.
you just ran off all the roles, the titles, and the things that you do. So
Yes.
your schedule is still busy. So what was your method of organization, planning, or even just having the mindset of this is what I want, I'm going to just do it. I'm just going to do
What was my mindset? I am a planner. Uh,
it. Mhm.
folks make fun of, my husband and I. Like, I already know this time next year what things are already scheduled,
Mhm.
and so that's how I operate. I plan my day out. Really, I plan the month out. The week, even the day prior. So I know what I'm going to do. So I was carving out time on my calendar, saying, okay, 30 minutes of writing. On Saturday, if I get home early, then I know that I need to get home in enough time to have an hour of writing.
Mhm.
And then it was beautiful because you also had scheduled writing times for us,
Mhm.
and so I was able to plug into those as well. And if it's something that you want to do, people do what they want to do.
Mhm.
And even if I had to shove away saying, hey, I can't go out to dinner, tonight, my husband's name is Rodney. We can't go out tonight because I need to dedicate time to writing.
Mhm.
And he understood, people that are close to you, for the most part, they will understand if it's something that you're passionate about. And then also, my husband knows me. If it's something that I have said yes to or I've committed to, then that must mean it means something to me. I don't just waste my time or waste our time just doing things willy-nilly. It has to be a reason why I'm doing it.
Mhm. As you're talking, I'm sitting here. I'm like, I think that's why we clicked the way we did, because I consider myself to be a woman of my word, like
Hmm.
woman of my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it,
I'm
and if
gonna
I
do
commit to something, I will do it. The
it.
only
Hmm.
way I won't is if it's like totally out of my control, like
Right.
sick, like something I just have no control over. But for the most part, I do my best to, make do on my commitments, my promises, etc. So I have a question for you. For those
Yeah.
of you who are tuning in and listening with a busy schedule, you want to write, you want to get your story published, etc. So Elizabeth, you are part of the collaboration.
Yeah.
Wrote a chapter. Do you feel like it was doable with an already busy schedule?
Yes, I
Yeah.
do.
Okay.
I believe that it's doable. At one point I was even thinking, okay, well, what if I had small kids? Would I have been able to do that? I believe so. Rising earlier, or sometimes, if you have kids, you could probably lay them down at a certain time and then decide to write. If you're working, it was carve out some times from lunch. I'm telling you, Tamara, that my plate was full and running over, and I got it done. So
Mhm.
yes, I do believe that it's doable.
Okay.
Hmm.
And so let's talk about your chapter. And
Hmm.
actually, before we get into the chapter, I want to just talk about your journey into business. Like,
Hmm.
you are the self-care queen. So like, I've been using your products for years now.
Well, thank you.
And for those of you tuning in as well, if you attended any of our Pen to Profit events and you had a VIP package, you had products from the Well Station. This is
Hmm.
the CEO of the Well Station with customized bath bombs, customized soaps, etc. So, thinking about the business, you as a wellness coach, and then your chapter being from grief to grace to healing,
Hmm.
how are the three of those aligned?
Well, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 14 or 15. I've always had this anointing on my life to be able to generate money.
Mm-hmm,
But I don't know that I was actually operating in my purpose.
mm-hmm,
I just knew I could make money. And hey, let me start a business. So I think I used to own a business where I sold handbags and jewelry. It was, a very nice business, made a nice amount of money. My husband and I, we have other ventures presently, but that still did not align with my purpose. And so when I had this major, tragedy in my life, it actually opened my eyes to, hey, why am I even here?
mm-hmm,
What is my purpose? Why am I journeying? I was so down, so depressed with that tragedy that you have to self-evaluate and say, okay, why should I even push to try to get out of this valley that I'm in?
mm-hmm.
And during that time, I discovered what my purpose was. I realized, should I share, what my tragedy, or are you going to ask me about that?
Yeah, no, you can share. Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay.
It's
All
no-
right. So, the tragedy was I unexpectedly lost my mom. My husband and I, we cared for my mom, my grandparents, but my mom passed away more than 8 years ago. And it was very unexpected. We took her to a doctor's appointment. She actually had two that particular day. Took her there. I was intending to stay with her, but I had to go back to the office because we had a standing meeting on Thursdays. And when I came back, I'm sorry, it was on Tuesday. When I came back from that particular meeting, because they said that the procedure would be over, when I got there, she'd gone into cardiac arrest. And some strong women, they have this quote that goes around, check on your strong friends. But even if you check on them, sometimes they still won't tell you that they're breaking down on the inside because
Okay.
they
Yeah.
are strong. And at the time, this was the second child for my grandparents that had passed away. So I knew that this was going to be tragic for them. And of course, I took on the role that I always do. I'm going to make it happen. So I needed to be strong for my daughters, for my grandparents. I needed to make arrangements. I, had responsibilities at work. I had a business. I'm coaching other women, so they can't see me having a breakdown. So I had to hold it all together. But what I realized was I was going into a depression, and just decided that, hey, I need to work through this. And because I'm meeting with my therapist, and getting the help, it opened me up to just from running, in life, we're just running from thing to thing, from appointment to appointment, and the day is just going on. This allowed me time to just sit down and pause and realize I wasn't the only woman that was going through things like this,
Mm-hmm.
and that my purpose was, to help and to support other women. And at that time, that's when I was given the title of my company, the Well Station. And I realized, hey, Liz, you should be operating off of 100%. But really, at that time, Tamara, I probably was operating off of less than 5%. I was
Oh,
operating off of fumes, still trying to make everybody happy, make sure everything was okay, but I really wasn't.
mhm,
And so that's how I was pushed into my purpose. And so now it's not, of course, with business, you have ups and downs. Hey, that's life. But I know that this is the purpose. I know that this is the reason that I'm here. I
mhm,
get excited, like I said, when I'm connecting with other women. I get excited to support and celebrate women, because that is what we should be doing. And we should want to see everybody, all women, doing well.
mhm.
And so yeah, so that's how I was pushed into the purpose. And that's what I was able to share. That's the short of the what I was able to share in my portion of the book.
Yes. So to read the whole story, you got to
Yeah,
get the book. You got
read
to
the whole book. read the whole story. Yeah,
you gotta get the book.
that's
So
it.
what we do is ground the story. Like the story is a part of you. It's a part of you. Like so, it's
Hmm.
owning your truth. You know your story better than anyone else,
Hmm.
and it's also aligned and grounded in not only your story, the journey of
Hmm.
you and the business, but even the business itself. Because the well station, right?
Hmm.
When I
Right.
hear that word, I mean, just well or well station, I do think about someone who is well holistically, like mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, like the well, it is
Yes.
well, right? And
Right.
so the well station, that's what comes for me and come up for me. And then I think about the healing, like
Hmm.
journeying through the emotions of everything, but getting to a state of being well, being
Hmm.
okay, being your best self, whatever that is for you.
Yes.
So to me, that's what aligns in the business, the message, your journey.
Yes.
And so your chapter, Grief to Grace to Healing, grab the book. You can read more of Elizabeth's chapter and story in the book. And so Elizabeth, with your business, how do you connect and work with women as far as being well and the coaching that you do?
Yeah, so so presently I do individual coaching, but I also my business model, since I'm unfortunately my grandmother passed away in May, so I've transitioned my business model to what it was prior to caring for her and my grandfather, and usually host events at least once a quarter, where we connect with women, and it's going to always be focused on mind, body, spirit. And this year, we embrace finances too. Because if your finances are not in order, it's going to be hard to balance mind, body, and spirit, because your mind is on your money. Your spirit is not going to be aligned. You're going to be upset and mad or frustrated. And then a lot of times we put on weight because you stressed about the money. So
Mhm,
now we are embracing all of those. And what we do is, at our events, is we serve and pamper women. And a lot of times we don't know how to sit back and let others serve us, because we were groomed, or what we witnessed, we saw, the women in our lives, we saw them serving everybody else, but we did not see them sitting back allowing someone to serve them. And so that's what we do at our events for women.
mhm. Yeah, I know how that is. I'm learning. Well,
Hmm.
I'm not 100% there, but I'm learning how to rest, how to sit back a little bit, cuz I
Yes.
mean, it's just second nature for me to always just like go or jump in and do something. So
Hmm.
I want to say last year or two I've been like really intentionally practicing like
Right.
pause, to rest,
Mhm.
to breathe, to journal, to do these
Right.
things for me to be grounded and tap back into self.
Mhm.
So I do appreciate the work that you're doing.
And you're doing it, Tamara. I see you. You are consistent with your working out and all of that, and even just talking about just working out. That's mind, body, and spirit,
Hmm.
and finance. So that's great being committed in that area. So you're doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a, like you say, the consistency. It's a lot. I
That's
woke up this morning. I overslept,
mm-hmm.
so when I got up, I'm like, I'm not gonna go. Like when I get there, I'm gonna miss some of the class. I'm not going. Why bother? But then
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no, because any little bit is better than none at all. So I
Right.
was running out. I was running out the house. I still got 40 minutes in because it's an
Okay.
hour class, but the fact that I wasn't going to go because I overslept. And then, our thoughts can sometimes talk us out of things.
Yes.
And so I
Yes.
was like, no, I had to talk myself into it. So the
Yes.
consistency and that commitment to self, it just does wonders. Because I heard this somewhere before, like wherever your thoughts go, the body will follow.
Yeah.
Wherever our thoughts, like whatever it is, the body
Right.
will follow and adjust to whatever, like wherever the thoughts bring us.
Right.
So even the fact that you were able to realize and acknowledge the space you were in prior to, with grief,
Mm-hmm.
with loss, and then transition, what does grace mean for you, from grief to grace and then to get to healing?
Grace is allowing yourself or um, being open with yourself that some days are going to be harder than the other. And just because it is does not mean that you're failing, that you can still push forward and just allow yourself. Sometimes you're gonna have to cry.
Hmm.
I was talking with one of my daughters early. She was telling me about somebody, and I said, you know what? There was times even caring for my grandmother, or in that point with my mom, that I came home and just said, I just feel like crying.
Hmm.
When I finish this good cry for a good 15 or 20 minutes, I'm
Hmm.
gonna be all right. Now
Hmm.
I may not be just 100%, but I would have released something. So just allowing yourself the grace to say, you know what, it's okay. Sometimes you're not gonna feel your best, but as long as you're acknowledging it and putting in a plan to work through it, then just be patient with yourself. And a lot of times I don't think we are. We're harder on ourselves than we are on others.
Hmm.
And so we have to allow ourselves that grace.
Hmm. And that's the hill, Liz, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Because the unhealed Liz did not understand. Girl, what is going on with you? You are not usually one that crying. I was fussing at myself, and you got to get it together. I mean, I'm sitting at a light. I'm talking to myself. You got to get it together. What is wrong with you? So yeah, this is the healed Liz.
Hill, Liz. I love it.
Mhm.
From
Yeah.
grief to grace to healing. Be sure to grab a copy of the book. Check out Liz' chapter contribution and our most recent bestseller, Trailblazers.
Mhm.
Embrace and Change, Finding Success. And nope, sorry, Embrace and Change, Pursuing Purpose and Finding
Mhm.
Success.
That's it.
So, since being published,
Mhm.
let's hear what's been going on with you.
Girl, let me tell you, and this audience, let me tell you. Since then, I have been asked to speak at a couple of women's conferences, which those were, just a blessing,
Mhm.
because some people are seeing me come. I'm really an introvert, Tamara, but I'm not an introvert as far as being shy. I have to retreat.
Mhm.
And with knowing that there were a lot of things that I was hesitant to do, but now I'm in the season where I'm saying yes because I know that I am walking into my purpose. So this book really helped me because I know that my story is out and the women that it's going to impact. Actually, I received a couple of text messages this week
Mhm.
from women who have read the book and have given me, like their testimony. Thank you so much that your story helped me. And some of the other authors, their stories helped them as well, because,
Mhm.
I'm encouraging read the whole book. But also I have my book signing. It's tomorrow. I'm so
Okay.
excited about it. And so, yeah, we're looking for a wonderful time tomorrow. I've sold a number of books, and actually going to reach out to a number of women's organizations, churches, so that I can introduce the book to them. And I'm just ready to go. I'm just excited. And since I have worked on this project, you just opened up, something else for me to share, even another story. So I'm gonna talk to you offline about something that I want to do for myself, working with you, because it was beautiful. It was a beautiful process working with you. So I just want
Okay.
to tell you that publicly.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Mhm.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
So right. So for those of you tuning in case you've been following me for some time now, I always say take your readers on the journey with you, and that the work does not stop once the book is published. The work continues even after being published. And so I asked that question specifically because sometimes, Liz, people aren't ready or willing or want to do the work.
Mhm.
And this is you sharing this is proof that once you have a product, or open to sharing your story, how it can lead to other opportunities. It can open
Mhm.
doors. It can be the key to unlock doors. It could be the faucet that you have to turn on the water, like, because it starts flowing. And
Mhm.
I'm glad you shared that, because as you said, an introvert and retreating back, but you got 2 speaking opportunities so far.
Right.
Have your book signing coming up,
Mhm.
and you are planning to reach out to organizations and churches, which means that you have to talk to them about
Right.
the book.
Right.
You have to
Right.
talk, even introduce yourself in the business. And I'm even thinking like the book club, wellness retreat, like women's gathering.
Let me get my notes. Mhm.
I mean, because it's all aligned, and so
Right.
based, with the wellness, and this is what I want to say. Being strategic means for me when meeting with potential collaborators, those who join the project. There's certain questions that I ask to get understanding on how you want to move the story and how
Mhm.
it's connected to who you are, what you're doing now, and also what you plan to do. Because
Right.
you could be in a totally different area, and if your story is still what it is, it's just in the angling of the message, and just reaching out to those who will get the most impact from it. And so, grief to grace to healing. I mean, what better place than to introduce it? Women's groups, church groups, starting a book club,
Mhm.
community, like there's so many other organizations and community groups where you can gather women and
Mhm.
just talk about wellness and talk about grief, talk about healing, talk about being a strong woman, what that looks like, and even being intentional with practicing the self-care and
Right.
acknowledging that everything isn't okay, but how do
Mhm.
we become well?
Right. And then also the perspective, I'm very private.
Hmm.
So for me to share my story in this book,
Hmm.
for me to share my story, I'm like, hey, I can't just share it and then not, schedule other things, get out there. I might as well be all in if I'm going to, share my story. Now, of course, I did share it because the Spirit said that there are other women that need to hear my story. And so I figured that, hey, if it's out there, then I need to reach as many women as I can with my story.
Yeah. And you said all in. All right.
All in. I'm all
All
in.
in.
Mhm. I'm all in.
All in.
Yeah.
So what was going back to the process with the book collaboration? Where do you feel like what do you feel was the greatest support for you, like within the process? Where do you feel like if you had done it by yourself, there may have been a challenge, but being in the project was a blessing, or you had the support that you need? Like what would you say was a good support for you?
Yeah, I think it was a blessing that we had you, to reach out to if we came across something that stumped us. We were able to reach out. I remember one time we had a Zoom where we were all on there, and it was, I think we had a couple of hours to write, but we were taking breaks here or there, and you opened it up for us to be able to connect with you offline, away from, like in a virtual room,
Mhm.
to say, hey, This is what I'm thinking, but I think, but, oh, because you know what? My story changed. The portions of what I wanted to share or what I was going to share, it changed as I was having these conversations with you. So I believe that that was a benefit, working with you, because, hey, it says here on the screen that you're a 14-time best-selling visionary author. So you should have
I
insight.
know a little something, something.
Exactly, you should, right?
The
So,
pressure.
right. So, it was good just to be able to, to connect with you when we needed to, and it just felt like it wasn't a hassle. You were very open, and it was even good. Now I can share because I wasn't, since I was very busy, I wasn't able to connect with the women during the process as much as I wanted to, the co-authors, but I have connected with Queen since then, and
Mhm.
my intention is to reach, through the group of authors in the book, and maybe we can actually do something together to, promote each other's story. So I have those things. So it was good to have the co-authors and the access to you as well.
Yes, all in, all
Hmm.
in. The
Yeah.
work continues. It doesn't stop. It
Hmm.
continues. If you join our projects and you're like, okay, I want to build, like the work continues. I just want to say that the work continues. And so it does take sharing your story. It does take um, reaching out to individuals who you feel will gain the greatest impact from your story. It does take you talking about your story.
Hmm.
Because if your goal is to make impact, to generate revenue, to build, to have those connections. And especially as a business owner, people do business with those they know, they like, they trust.
Yes.
If someone is reading your story, that gives them a deeper understanding. I mean, granted, it's, it's the chapter, but it still gives them a greater understanding of who you are and what you may have encountered, or whatever you're sharing in your story, but it gives them a glimpse or some insights into you. So then
Hmm.
now they're like, okay, I can relate to Liz, or this story is similar to mine's. And, they'll go and find you, look for you, check your website out, or follow you on social media, whatever platforms they can find you on. But it
Right.
first starts with the story, right?
Hmm.
So it's just another way, another avenue, another bridge for individuals to make those connections, because I do believe that everyone has a story on the inside of them. Like,
Yes.
we're like, for us being adults, as wives, as moms, as entrepreneurs, there's things that we have encountered in life, good, bad, or indifferent, that we've
Hmm.
encountered, that we can speak to, that can help someone else. And like you say, the strong woman, right? The strong woman who always says, oh, I'm okay, I'm okay,
Right.
when you may not be okay. But if you sitting back and you're reading a book, a story, a strong woman may not, raise the hand and say, hey, I need help. But if she can pick up the book and read Elizabeth's story, then now she feels less alone.
Right.
So it's that connection piece. So I do thank you for bringing that out. So tell the people, you have a book signing coming up
Yes.
tomorrow.
Hmm.
And let me just say this: there is no rule anywhere that says you can only have one book signing.
Oh yeah, and we won't. It won't just be one.
So have as many. Like, it's a party. Um,
Right.
so tell it, where those who are listening, if you're in the Tennessee area,
Hmm.
where they can attend the book signing or connect with you, and like social media platforms, website, all of that.
Okay. All right. So I'm on my phone looking up this address right for
Okay.
Memphis, Tennessee. But yeah, it will be tomorrow, Memphis, Tennessee. It's from 1 to 3 o'clock downtown Memphis, and I have found the address. It is 477 North Fifth Street in Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Memphis, Tennessee. So if you're catching this live, today is Friday, August 23rd,
Right.
because this may come across your news feed at a later time. The book signing is August 24th. August
From 1 to 3 o'clock.
24th. Yes, 1 to 3.
Hmm. Yep.
So if you catch this live later on and you miss it, then you may miss the book signing. But Elizabeth will be having more book signings, and there's
Right.
also ways that you can connect with her to read the story and even check out the business. So Liz, can
Mhm.
you give your like socials and your website as well?
Yeah, on Facebook, I have my business page. It is The Well Station. And then on Facebook, I am listed under Elizabeth Dorse. Merriwether. And you see the spelling of my last name there on the screen. On IG, I'm under Elizabeth Merriwether 1. So that's Elizabeth Merriwether and the number 1. And I'm on TikTok here or there, but I got to get busy. Like I see Dr. Tamara on there doing all types of things. So I am on there as well under Elizabeth Merriwether.
Yeah, I always say to people, I'm like, don't judge me on my TikTok. I just be having fun.
Right, right. Oh, and they can always go to my website. It is thewellstation.org. And that's THEWELL station.org.
Yes,
Yeah,
thewellstation.org.
that's it.
Yes, so from grief to grace to healing. Meet Elizabeth Merriwether. She is a best-selling author. She was an
Yes,
author in our Trailblazers, our recent book collaboration, Trailblazer. So if you have a story on the inside of you and you feel that you are too busy to commit, too busy to write your story, I just want to say, like, maybe that's just an excuse because this is proof. Like, wife, mom, corporate manager, community, care, like you just ran down a whole bunch of titles and was
yeah,
still able to contribute. And now you're out. So wait, and this is another thing. Now you're out. These are more things added to your schedule.
it is. It's more, yeah. But you know what? Also, I'm in a different season
Uh-huh.
because, my grandmother, we're no longer caring for her. And so actually, my husband and I are rediscovering ourselves.
Hmm.
And so this is exciting for this new season. Like I told you, I'm all in.
All that.
So, I want to make sure that I impact as many women as possible.
Hmm.
And the goal, is just to make sure that they know that they are not alone. They are not the only ones that are dealing with grief. But hey, you can move to grace,
Hmm.
and you can also find your purpose.
Yes. And
Mhm.
healing. And healing.
Yes.
Yes.
Hmm.
Love it. So everyone, Trailblazers. Embracing Change, Pursuing Purpose and Finding Success. Elizabeth was one of the co-authors in this book collaboration. Her chapter is From Grief to Grace to Healing.
Hmm.
Elizabeth is the CEO of the Well Station. So if you missed that information, be sure to go back and catch it from the beginning so you can hear her journey, a snippet of her journey. But to read the story, grab a copy of the book, and you can find all of her amazing products on the website.
Yes.
And yeah, and bath bombs, I love them. Let me just
Oh,
oh, and
thank you.
soaps.
Thank you.
And the soaps, yes. And if you, like I said, if you attended any of our Pen to Profit events, Elizabeth has been a sponsor
Mhm.
past year. So I want to thank you as well.
You're welcome. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
thank you.
Yeah,
And so delayed does not mean denied
you're
because
right.
eventually you're here, you made it, you're
Mhm.
part of the collaboration, and I'm excited to help you bring your story to life. So thank you for entrusting me and trusting our team with bringing your story.
Thank
The
you.
marketplace,
Thank you. I'm
because
excited.
Elizabeth is outside now. She's outside.
I'm outside for real. Right. I'm outside.
She
Yeah.
outside.
Hmm.
All right. So Elizabeth, I want to wish you well station. I want to wish you the best tomorrow on your book signing,
Thank you.
all your future endeavors. Please keep me posted and thanks for being on with us tonight. And everyone, be sure to follow, connect, check out the website. And if you're in Tennessee, be sure to go visit. Go visit. Go
Hmm.
visit. Go visit. All right.
Yes.
Any
Thank you
parting
so
words,
much for
Liz?
having me.
You're welcome. Any parting words? I'm gonna let you have the
Any
last
parting
final words.
any parting words? I guess I would say, hey, the world needs so much light and so much sunshine. It is our responsibility to make sure that we get the healing that we need, that we do focus on our mind, our body, our spirit, and our finances. And I can't stress the finances enough because finances allow us to make a lot of choices. Finances also allow us to give to our community and the organizations that are important to us. So once again, you can love on others, but you have to be intentional when it comes to loving on yourself.
Yes, yes. So thank you again, Liz. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having me.
Have a good night.
All right, you too.